Right, so we've got a new camera, new lens, new setup. Given myself 4 weeks to get the Suzuki GS550 on the road. New cap, link down the bottom if you want to get yourself one of these caps. Here's the tank, let's do it. So we've got the tank here. Last week we put the port 15 in there, the tank sealer. That's had 3 days to seal now. Yeah, one more day to harden, and then we can actually try out with some fuel inside it. But what I do need to do before then is smooth all this, put some filler on it, put some isopon, get these nice and flush, get rid of all these dents and everything, and get the tank looking nice and respectable, ready to be painted next week. So first things first, I need to sand all this down. I'm going to use 80 grit sandpaper just to get a really coarse texture on it so that the new isopon filler will bond onto it perfectly. And then after that I need to sand it all down, get it all looking smooth, go over it with 250 grit, ready for the primer. So let's do it. So we've got all this that needs to be sorted out now. So this is the port 15 and it is strong as anything. Honestly, it takes 40 grit sandpaper to actually leave a dent on that's not doing much. So I'm gonna have to sand all that down, sand this back, put some new filler on, sort out these little dents at the front, and just get the tank looking respectable and ready to be painted. So the painting is going to happen this week. It's going to be a nice white band going around on a Fiat Volare blue, the sort of the light blue that you see on the Fiat 500s, the new ones. Right, so that's kind of drying off nicely now. I've just sanded a little bit, just with a bit more coarse sandpaper, just over the top, just to see how smooth it is and see if it needs any more additional coats building up on top of it. But what I'm going to do is let this dry for another 20 minutes, just so it's rock hard, and then sand it again. So the filler's all dry now. I've left that overnight, but what I did find are little pit holes everywhere across it. So before I went in last night, after I switched the camera off, I actually did put one last coat over all the pinholes and everything, just to make sure that all those are sealed. So what I'm going to do now is go over it, and each time I sand it down, I go down a finer grit. So I was on 80 grit last time. I think I might go this quickly with 80 grit again, but I'll go down to 100 grit or even 120. The finer the grit, obviously the smoother your finish is going to be. So I'm going to do that now, try and get rid of all the holes, and then I'll go down to 120, might even go down to 240 grit and see how that works. So what I've done now is I've filled up all the cracks, all the ruts. Obviously the smaller the grit number that you're going to use, like a 40 or something, you're going to get massive ruts in your filler. So by increasing that number, by using a finer grit, like 120 or 240 even, you're getting rid of those ruts, so you're making it nice and smooth for the primer. So here it is, I'm going to use a wet and dry on that, sand it so it's really nice and smooth and ready to be primed, and we'll all be done. So that's it, that's all done now. So if I show you the tank, this has all been sanded down and ready to prime. So all these dents and everything are smooth. These little knee dents in here, they're all sanded down, they're all smooth. This little dent that we had up here, badges on both sides have been sealed. That's a huge dent actually. And it's been lined as well, so the inside of it is all lined. So the next thing I can do now is prime it. I've sanded over it with 120 grit. I need to prime it, I need to give it a 1 coat of prime, see how that goes down. I might add a second coat and then sand that with 400 grit. They usually say 240 grit, I might go 400 grit for this time. And there we go, this tank will be blue. So if you want to see how this tank turns out, then don't forget to subscribe and you can see next week's video. Honestly, it's going to make the bike so much nicer. And also, if you want one of these caps, which is a Featherbold Industries merchandise, which I've started to sell through the featherboldindustries.com website, and you can click the link below to see how much they are and see how much shipping is to your country. I do ship them to every single country, but bear in mind, if you're out of the UK, then they do take that little bit longer to get to you. So until Friday, I'll see you then.